Oh boy, folks. Welcome back to another week of Indie Review. I am uh tired. Um I'm Vico, my pronouns are its. The layout looks bad because I did it and I all of the assets are on Avery's computer, and also Avery is way better at this than I am, and also I couldn't figure out how to make the camera angle smaller, so you get to see just how much of a disaster my side of the office is. But that's not the point of this stream. The point of this stream is we're playing A Stop Along the Road by Courtney Girl, also known as Magical Girl on Itch or Andromedam on Twitter. Also, she is on Drive Through RPG at Magical Girl as well, I believe. Um, over here, over, over here. If you want to check out this and other games by her, which I recommend. So this is a solo journaling game. It's in the solo but not alone bundle that is still up for another week or two, I think, on Itch. It's about 150 solo TTRPGs. So if that suits your fancy, go ahead and check it out. It's about $10 for the whole thing, or more if you'd like to give more. Um, yeah. So this is played with a deck of tarot cards. That's why I have this camera down here, because I want you all to be able to see the lovely antique anatomy tarot that my friend Kai gifted me that we're going to be using today. It is also played with a way to record your entries, which can be a journal, audio recording, uh, Word or word processor document, etc. Um, I have my little indieRevue field notes, which, um, I mean, obviously this is going to be archived via stream archiving methods, but also I'm forgetful, so I want to be able to take notes while I play. So, let's just jump right in here. This is a 3-page TTRPG, um, so pretty quick and easy to get get a hang of. Um, Also, I'm really bad at OBS, so I don't even know if chat is like actually going right now. If anyone's chatting, hi, and if you're not chatting, sorry. Um, okay, so A Stop Along the Road is a game sort of tangentially about adventurers. You have a little house, and you open your house, your home, to provide respite to adventurers who pass through. And then you write journal entries from the perspective of this individual opening their home. Um, so the first paragraph here says, "This land is vast and marvelous, full of peril and marvel in equal measure. Adventurers from all corners of it travel great distances to complete grand, dangerous, and splendid quests full of threats and treasure and wonder. There is glory, riches, fame, and splendor to be found, and instead of seeking it, you have settled down. Now and again, adventurers pass by the home you've made for yourself. They are worn, weary, in need of rest and respite, and so you offer your hospitality freely and warmly again and again. So, our first step here is to sort of describe our character and decide who they are. So, name, pronouns, where their house is, etc. So, first, I already named them. I decided to name them Nettle, and pronouns are they, them, um, because when was the last time I played a character who wasn't non binary? I ask you. Um, 3 is where you've placed your home, and there's some suggestions like at the base of the mountain or in the woods or on a hilltop, etc. I think my character is sort of out like a little ways beyond the edge of town, sort of shadowed by the trees, the forest, like where the forest starts to really deepen and become like the forest. Um, a beloved feature of your home. I'm gonna go with um, a really nice kitchen, just a really nice, clean, airy, like bright kitchen with lots of counter space and like windows for the sunlight and like herbs hanging everywhere. Um, because uh, I'm a millennial and I want a nice kitchen. My God. Your companion, so spouse, child, apprentice, a pet. Um, I am gonna go with a dog, uh, because I have a real life cat, so this is gonna let me live out my fantasies of owning a Great Pyrenees. Just a real big, fluffy, white livestock guardian dog who lays in the yard and watches people go by. And 6, why don't you go adventuring yourself? Um, You're too scared, you have attachments here, you did once, an injury prevents it, you're waiting for a quest, or someone else has gone in your stead. Um, or obviously, you don't have to use these suggestions, you can come up with your own. I think my character did adventure for a little bit, but now they're like not older, near, they're like 30 or so, and they just, they, adventuring was sort of like college. They went to adventure for a little bit, learned what they needed to know, came home and like settled down. Um and and sometimes it's like, man, I miss my old adventuring days. I miss college. And then it's like, no. I'm 30 and I have a house and I'm happy here. Okay. Now, decide the following about your world. 1. Is the hospitality you grant expected or a rarity? I'm gonna go sort of middle of the road here and say that it's more common out in like the rural areas. Um, but it's sort of fading out. So it was more common in the past and especially more common in like the sort of rural area that Nettle lives in, but it's starting to like go away. How rarely do adventurers arrive at your door? Be like once a month or so. Often enough that I've gotten used to it, right? But not so often that it's like, God, you people again, every day with you people. Um, and how common is adventuring as a profession? Um, like like video game rules, right? There's a lot more adventures than you would expect there to than there would be if we lived in like the real world. Um, it's like fantasy MMO type rules. Every goddamn person wants to be an adventurer. Okay, so we've sort of set up our world, our house, with our nice kitchen and our dog in the setting with like all these goddamn adventures everywhere. So now we write our first journal entry about an ordinary day. What's like the usual for Nettle? Um, this isn't super like it, I don't know why I've been like imagining my character as like a witch, like the village witch who makes little potions and like treats scraped knees and such, but that's what I'm going with. So I think like Nettle's ordinary day is like waking up, uh, watering the garden if it needs it, letting the dog out, um, drawing water and getting like a couple of potions made, maybe checking, maybe they have like a little pile of like orders on their kitchen counter from that they like collect once a week and go through and finish and it's like, oh, this they need this potion by tomorrow, so I'd better get it finished. This one will have to wait until like the full moon, etc. Um, maybe like sometimes a friend stops by, um, possibly just to play with the dog. Listen, we've all done it. We've all just gone to see someone solely to see their pet, right? And also them, but also their pet, right? Um, definitely have a tea time. I personally require like at least one mug of tea a day to keep me sane. I don't, the caffeine does nothing for me. It's just about the ritual of making the tea and enjoying the tea. Tea is a friend. I'm drinking tea right now. I'm drinking chocolate Earl Grey with roses. Um, I think Nettle's sort of a homebody. They like did their adventuring and kind of like me in college, like if we're going with that metaphor, they realize that they just don't really like being around other people that much, and a lot of like adventuring requires you to go and interact with other people and like form a little adventuring party and etc. And Nettle's just kind of over it. They just want to be like left alone at their house and not talk to people on the regular. So generally there's just it's just Nettle and their dog. Um, who I think is named Snowball. It's just Nettle and Snowball. Um, and like once a week they'll go into town and like maybe they have a post box and they collect all of their uh, orders from the post box and then they go home. And then once a week they come in, they bring the orders around to everyone in town and then they go home. And like the most social interaction they really get is when adventurers stop by. Um, God, ideal. So you can keep if you're journaling this, you can the rules say that you can continue to sort of like in between adventure visits write about ordinary days, but maybe try and keep those short. Um, just to get a feel for like the passage of time in the game. Um, but or you can just only write about like the times when visitors show up. It's sort of up to you. This is your character, and you get to decide like what they would want to keep a record of. But once you're done sort of setting up what a normal day for your character is, then you go into the first visitor. So let's move on. I'm going to write down about Snowball the dog. And I'm going to just make a little note that Nettle is a homebody introvert witch. And now we're going to move on to the first visitor. So I love this pen, but I keep like doing something wrong whenever I refill it, so I end up getting ink all over my hands. And ink just sort of like leaks out, and I don't know why. Um, it's whatever though. I'll just keep using it because I like using it. Um, so all adventurers have a name, pronouns, a quest, a story to tell you, and something they need. So, oh god, maybe I should have pulled up a name generator. Um, we could keep to the plant theme. Um, okay, I guess I'll name this first adventurer, I don't know, Astrid. Astrid, she, her. So for each adventurer, you are going to draw 3 cards, and uh, there's only one table here that we'll get to later, so it's not like draw a card, and if it's the like 6 of coins or whatever, then that corresponds to blah blah blah. You want to like interpret the card based either on your knowledge of tarot, which mine is shaky at best, or on like the picture that's on it, which obviously, given that this is the antique anatomy set, isn't going to be the usual. Um, or you can use, like, I have a little The Essential Book of Tarot that came with a different set of tarot cards that I have. The suits in this deck don't match one to one. There's rods, elixirs, blades, and coins. So not like fully one to one, but it's, it's tarot. Uh, so presumably, if you are not possessed of a tarot card deck, which I think is becoming increasingly rare for people my age, you can just use a normal deck of cards and just sort of like, but you will be missing the major arcana, which, if that's okay with you. Anyway, for every adventurer who arrives at your home, draw 3 cards. The first decides their quest, the second decides their story, and the third decides what they need. Interpret each card's traditional meanings and/or illustrations into each facet of the adventure. The adventurer's visit isn't only about them, but about both of you together. Match the third card's number to one of the questions on the next page and answer it for yourself. Every adventurer is different. Even if the question is repeated, the answer never will be. So that's the one, like, table in this. So uh, it's very open-ended, which is neat. It kind of makes it sort of a endless game. The rules say play for as long as you want to write for. You could probably do this, like, do one a day if you want to make it like a writing practice thing or something. Um, if you run out of cards but you still want to play, you can just shuffle them back in, etc. So I'm going to start with our first card. So the adventure, the quest that our adventurer Astrid is on. The 10 of coins, and that in this deck looks like that. Isn't it neat? I really like this deck. It's very fancy. So if I open up my little guy here, so the coins would technically be the pentacles. So life is full, wealth will be passed down through the generations, the family is safe and secure. So this card traditionally is about like family and aging and um, inheritance, basically. But in this suit, all of the coins have like a bone on them. So I think what Astrid is looking for is like the resting places of her ancestors in order to break a curse that she needs to like find their graves for. Break a family curse. Um, yeah, like maybe she needs the first of her house's like skeleton or something. Um, or even just to go to the place where they're all like her far off ancestors are buried. But like because it's been so long, no one actually knows exactly where that is. The maps have all changed. The names of places are different now. Um, so it's just sort of this like wandering around going, okay, is this the like is this the wood veil that I need to be in, or is it like a different wood veil? The wood veil from 3 counties over, the flooded wood veil, etc. And it's just So I think she's an adventurer, yes, but she's more of a like no, almost like an archaeologist. She's or an investigator. She's following this path of like ancient clues. Uh, and a lot of those and she's had to learn a lot of like history along the way because a lot of the clues are like time specific and it's just been like so long that it's like these a the way we pronounce these words they no longer rhyme, so that sucks, and b we don't use this word anymore, so I don't know what it means, and the place that it's pointing me to doesn't exist anymore, so ugh. And I guess I have to go excavate an old castle to try and dig out the next clue. Yay! And that's sort of what Astrid's life has been like lately. So Astrid comes to the door maybe as dusk approaches, and it's sort of she's one of those people who like gets very caught up in her thoughts, so she didn't really realize it was getting dark, and she also didn't realize, oh, this town is really small and it doesn't really have like and like the motel or whatever, the inn where you can like the desk where you go to rent a room like closes for some reason early as hell because it's just like a small town that gets very few visitors. um or the people who do visit generally are like people who are going to go stay with family. And she's just like, oh, and sort of like knocking on doors like, I wonder how people know to come to Nettle's house. Maybe there's like a specific sign, like maybe a specific type of lantern that's put out in front of your door in uh like at dusk that symbolizes like you, if you need a place to stay, you can come stay here. And so Nettle, despite being like an introvert who doesn't really like people, goes out and like lights that lantern every night. Um, because they have like these fond memories of the hospitality that they were shown when they really, really needed it during their adventuring days. So now they want to like make sure that they can offer that to others. So it's like just after dinner, maybe, when Astrid like knocks on the door and Nettle opens it and Snowball is like at their knees, like, a guest, a person. Who is this? Should I bark at them? I'm gonna bark at them. Um, and sorry, I just had to like check the actual stream on Twitch to make sure it was actually working. I get nervous because I don't usually run these by myself. Um, and Nettle just like looks at Astrid and it's like, I don't recognize you, and I know everyone who lives in this town. And so there's like only one reason you would be here, so whatever, just come on in. Um, Plates up some leftovers, maybe a mug of hot cocoa. Like, all right, the guest room should be aired out. I think I did that earlier this week, so it should be clean. Um, don't worry about Snowball. She's friendly. She's just large, and she'll only bite you if you try to steal something. Kidding. She doesn't bite. She's she's kind of dumb. Um, then just kind of just sits at the table, like maybe doing some knitting or reading while Astrid eats, uh, both of them nursing like a mug of hot cocoa afterwards. And eventually Astrid starts to like talk because Nettle doesn't find the silence awkward, but probably other people do. And like Nettle's kind of like, I don't know why people always just tell me things. And it's like they feel compelled to because the silence just gets so awkward and you just don't say anything. You just sit there and say nothing. So they feel like they have to tell you something just to make the silence stop. So let's see what kind of story. This is also coins. I didn't do a great job of shuffling this. I'm gonna pull one out from the middle deck. See what we get. Ah, Six of Blades. Looks like this. Isn't that pretty? So the Six of Blades or Swords is going to be the sort of indication of the story that Astrid wants to tell Nettle. So the traditional meaning of the Six of Swords is relief will come after a struggle, or you may be taking a voyage. So what do we want to do here, chat? What kind of story do we think goes along with something like this? Hmm. My hands are getting all inky. Ink, ink everywhere. Um, there are some suggestions. Like it doesn't have to be the story doesn't have to be about something that happened on their quest. It could be about like the best food they've ever had, their family, a fairy tale they really like. So I think Astrid, who I imagine is the sort of scholarly, introspective sort, maybe just starts talking about some of the really interesting stuff that she's found while following this quest. Like stuff that doesn't really have to do with the actual quest. It's like red herrings or like just tangentially related information. Um, like while looking into um, this particular clue, uh, I discovered that back like 400 years ago, people used to wear like a green sash around their waist in this one particular city as uh, to the point that they started to be known as the the green folk, and this was like and the city itself is now known as green folk, but back then, before that happened, it was actually known as like Listenville, um, and that's what had me confused. People are leaving, but my landlord is planning to pop in shortly, saying hi and leaving a lurk. Hi, Racius. Thank you for joining me. And thank you. I did it myself. Well, I got the picture off a royalty-free usage. It's you. Just a reminder for everyone, if you think the layout is bad, I know it's bad. Just pretend it's good. Compliment me anyway. I am doing my best. Um, so I don't know where I was fucking going with that story. Astrid just spins this whole tale about like this rabbit hole of information that she went down while trying to figure out the meaning behind like this one specific line in a clue, and it led to like, oh, this city that's now called this, that I like this city that's now called Greenfolk that I'd always heard was because of the like if people from there all have like green eyes, and there are these big green painted statues in front of a lot of the buildings there. It's actually because of this other unrelated reason. And the city used to be called something else, but then the nickname caught on so much that it just people forgot about the old name, but the old name has some sort of pun in it, um, that used to be really famous, and well known back then, and that's what the clue is referring to. And it would have made instant sense to someone who lived like back 400 years ago, but then the city changed its name and we all forgot that it was called something else. And that's the yarn she spins. Can you tell I'm a nerd? I am a nerd. I'm just gonna note that down, that she tells me about a rabbit hole of info research led her to. And I think this is like one of those things where it's like she doesn't really want to be on this quest. She just kind of wants to go home and go back to her work. But like every so often she finds like something interesting like this. It's like, oh, you know what? It's kind of nice to be out here actually. It's not that bad. Um, so that's the story, and then we draw a third card. I don't have a whole lot of room, so I'm just gonna start scooching my cards over. I'm a bit limited in the amount of space that I have here. Draw a third card for what the adventurer needs from me. This is a major arcana, the world. I like how this one looks too. Um, Sorry for any, like, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. Sorry for any grotesquerie that might arise by virtue of the fact that this is the Antique Anatomy Tarot and there is art from old anatomy books that might gross people out. Uh, Bones and organs and such. And I'm sorry about that. Would it help if I kept, like, the cards just down here, maybe? So, like, if you don't want to see them, you can just block the bottom half of the screen. That might be good. Anyway, let's see what the world symbolizes. That's 21. Moon, sun, judgment. The world. Power of transcendence is within reach. You can obtain worldly success and liberation through spiritual rebirth. Hmm. I think what Astrid needed from me or from being here was like this reminder that, and she sort of like realizes it as she's telling her story. She needed to be reminded that she is like, even if she's been sort of removed from her work and she's like tired and she hates this job and she hates having to go around trying to figure out how to break a curse, and she is learning things every day and she is making discoveries, and like there's something uh good there's some silver lining to be found in all of it. Like no day is wasted, um because everything she learns while on this quest, uh even if it's like super quest specific, like, oh, learned I figured out this clue, yay, the clue that will only come in handy on this quest and nowhere else. um it's still knowledge that she's gaining. um so she sort of just um needed to like talk herself around to being okay with being on this quest again, and she needed like someone to talk at to do that. Maybe someone who understands that, like, sometimes being on a quest is not like the most fun thing and it's annoying and your boots get muddy and like you have to sleep in a tree every so often. It kind of, sometimes you just want to be home. Sometimes you just want to be able to read a book, and not constantly be like, huh, is that a monster? Like, or like being out on the road doesn't really afford you a whole lot of time to just like lay and sleep late and take a late breakfast in bed, with a good book. So, and then based on this card, we have something that uh it there's the question table. So this is major arcana. So do they make you doubt yourself? Hmm. No, I think commiserating with Astrid is sort of like a, yeah, yeah, that kind of sucks, man. Now I'm even more glad that I don't do that shit anymore. I'm like, uh even happier that I don't do adventuring. They make you doubt yourself. No, even happier I don't adventure anymore. It sounds like a whole lot of work, and it's like, you know what? I think I'm I think I'm good where I am. I always have a roof over my head, have a job, don't have to like tramp through cursed swamps or anything, uh, trying to decipher old riddles. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. So that's once you're done with that, you will write about uh, the adventurer's stay. So, uh, and set the cards aside to make way for some new ones. So I think Astrid doesn't stay very long. It's already like pretty late in the evening when she arrives, and then she just we talk a little bit, mostly her talking. Um, she does a little bit of, she sort of treats Nettle a bit like a rubber duck, where she like just kind of talks at them until she like figures out the answer to a riddle just through talking, like talking it out. Um, and then they both separately like retire. Snowball goes in and lays on Nettle's bed. Astrid goes to the guest room, which is this very nice, like cozy uh, place with like several sets of like the sheets have just been changed on the bed. There's several sets of blankets to choose from, uh, etc. And then in the morning, she wakes up. Snowball has her head like on the bed, like her chin resting on the edge of the mattress, like nose to nose with Astrid. How dogs sometimes do when they're like, "Are you gonna wake up and pay attention to me? Are you gonna wake up and pay attention to me? Are you waking up to pay attention to me?" Um, and I think Nettle has like sort of like on autopilot made breakfast for two, but is still like is the sort of person who is never fully awake until like noon, and so is just kind of like, why am I? What's going on? And then Astrid comes out of the guest room, and they're like, "Oh, right, okay." Um, they eat breakfast together, and it's very quiet. It's like they don't really talk. Astrid tries to like give Nettle some money or something as like thanks, and Nettle's just kind of like, "That's not how it works, bud. Good luck on the rest of your quest. Goodbye, get out, I have work to do." And Astrid leaves, and Nettle goes on merrily along the rest of their day, and like for the next month, there's no visitors. It's just Nettle and Snowball and the occasional trip into town, until the next visitor arrives. So let's get visitor number 2 on here. I think I'll name I'll name him uh, mm, Sorrel. He, him, but like in a queer way. He, him, but in a he's my girlfriend kind of way, maybe. So let's start with the quest that Sorrel is on. It's We're closing in on about an hour, so I think I might just do this. So Astrid and Sorrel, and then kind of close out the stream. Because when it's just me talking, my throat starts to hurt. So let's. You'll get to see my horrible shuffling technique where I just kind of throw chunks of card into my other hand over and over until I go, yeah, that's good enough. Womp, 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 womp. Draw a card. The 2 of Rods. I like this. I like the flowers on it. I'm a sucker for a good floral pattern. Let's see what the 2 of Rods means. I didn't go through the whole like how Sorrel got here. I think it was more of a like midday sort of situation. Maybe it's raining. Um, Nettle has kind of settled in to like a big squishy armchair. There's a pot of like slow cooker soup on on the stove. It's one of those like I'm going to drink some nice tea and I'm going to knit and listen to the rain and curl up in my blanket and be just so cozy. I get to be cozy today. And then there's a knock on the door and Nettle is just like and like sort of slumps to the door, still fully wrapped in their blanket. Snowball has again done the who's this? Who's this? Bark? Should I bark? I'm a good dog. I'm the best dog. I'm great at barking at things, kind of thing that Great Pyrenees do. Um, and outside, looking like the saddest wet cat in the world, is Sorrel, because the rain just, like, would not let up. And he doesn't, maybe he doesn't have, like, the money to, um, to stay at the inn. So the two of rods is you're strong enough to change your dreams into reality. Be bold. So I'm gonna say that Sorrel's quest is find he has to find this like specific, like highly specific sort of like fairy tale object, um, and bring it back to a wizard who will then like grant him a wish. Uh, find MacGuffin or wish granting wizard. And this is more like something that he undertook, like, because he wanted to. Um, like he doesn't necessarily need the wish the way that Astrid needed to break the family curse. Um, so he's just sort of happy to be here. See what he has to tell us. Ooh, we got knives again. The Eight of Blades. Again, a very, very pretty card. I love the art on these cards. So what does the Eight of Blades or Swords have to say to us today? I know what I'm doing. I know where this is. There it is. A difficult situation cannot be ignored. If bad news comes, face it squarely, even if there is nothing you can do. I think the story he tells me is about his first big failure. Um, he sort of took like a detour to, as adventurers tend to do, to like, oh, well, this isn't like my main quest and it's gonna take some time, but like, I can help. But and it wasn't that he wasn't like good enough and it wasn't that he messed up. It was just a situation where literally there really wasn't anything that anyone could do, but it still like felt real bad. Um I'm trying to think of what that situation could be, and all I'm really thinking of is like maybe there was a flood, like a dam broke and like flooded this one village, and maybe he was there like before the dam fully broke, so when it was still just leaking, trying to help like fix it and evacuate people and get everyone's like houses sandbagged and everything, and it just uh like wasn't enough. And it's not because they weren't like good enough, it's just, floods happen. Um and the town, like, a lot of the people were saved, but their houses were like washed away. A lot of their belongings were washed away. It wasn't something anyone was really fully prepared for. They weren't like, it was like, I don't know, exacerbated by some water spirits or something who have been having like a couple of fights lately. So the river was stronger than usual. Maybe the rain is just reminding him of all of that. So um, and that's why he decides to tell Nettle about it. Okay, first failure, couldn't stop a flood from destroying a village. So now let's decide what it is that he wants and or needs from Nettle. I'm gonna do a bit more of a shuffle here. Pull out a middle card. Queen of Rods. Very fancy lady. Let's see what the Queen of Rods means. I like this book because it's so small, but sometimes the descriptions of what the cards mean are kind of like ridiculous. Like this one, this lovely queen has charms to soothe the savage beasts. The Sunshine Lady brings light and love to the people around her. This consummate hostess is also a tireless worker for charity. What Sorrel needed was some lunch. He's the sort of person who like is really gung ho about his quest, really like going for it. Um, but he's also like he's like the anime character who never has any money, and anytime he manages to get money, he ends up giving it away somehow. So he hasn't like he's mostly been like eating like stuff that he could forage in the woods. Um, and he is just so hungry. And so in the middle of like telling his story to Nettle and like them chatting, his stomach just lets out the loudest sound. Um, and Nettle just like he starts apologizing, like, oh, that was so embarrassing, I'm so sorry. And Nettle just like stops him. It's like, I'll get you some soup. And gets him like just a huge bowl of soup, and it's just like is this a normal portion? And it's not. It's like two and a half normal portions. But Nettle is just like, yeah, yeah, that's go ahead. Um, and then like later, like I think he goes to bed early. Um, After like drying out, Nettle gives him a change of like dry clothes to wear for the night, etc. And he goes to bed like early, and Nettle is just like, okay, and packs just a bunch of like rations. It like just sticks them in his bag. Uh, while he's sleeping. And he gives him, like, wakes him up a little bit later for dinner, and then in the morning again for breakfast, and just like again giving him the bigger portion and then sending him on his way. And he doesn't notice until he's like a couple miles down the road and it's like too late to turn back all of the food that Nettle has like stuck in his bag for him. Food. Okay, so that one didn't really take as long as I was worried it would, so I guess we could probably do another, but first we're gonna go on to the question. So, Queen, when do you laugh the hardest? Um, see, I don't view Nettle as much of a laugher, but I think they do like snicker at one point, like um, at dinner, just watching uh, like maybe after dinner, Sorrel like sort of dozes off on the couch, and Snowball, the Great Pyrenees, just like nosing at him and like sort of does that like dog thing of like, I am going to arrange you while you sleep so that you will be snuggling me or petting me or whatever. And you have no say in the matter because you're asleep. And if you wake up, I'm dog. So you you can just deal with it, and just like sort of shimmies and like snuffles and like digs her way into like just being fully like big blanket dog. And Sorrel just kind of sleeps through all of it, and uh, that gives Nettle a bit of a chuckle. When do you laugh hardest? Snowball does. Mr. All right, we're gonna do. I guess we're gonna do another. Um, tarot-based games are nice because, well, I don't do like tarot reading, but me and Avery together both have multiple sets of tarot cards, so it's nice to be able to use them, and I think it gives you just a little bit more room to move. You can obviously like still use tarot cards, at least the suits, not the major arcana, in other card-based games. But the major arcana are nice. It's nice to use them. So let's get number 3, and if anyone wants to hop in and drop any ideas for them. I think I'm going to name this one Foxglove, and they're going to be a they them also. We are going for a plant theme. Right. Let's see what kind of quest Foxglove has. The 4 of Rods. This Lovely card here. Position it properly on the table. We're pulling rods a lot. Um, Pretend I didn't say that. So this card can represent marriage, partnership, uh, or the restoration of peace and harmony. So I think, um, so it's one of those fairy tale things again, like, oh, I have to go on this quest to prove I'm worthy to marry the princess or whatever. Um, Even though we both want to get married, but her family is like, oh, like you have this is our only daughter, our only child, and you have to prove that you're good enough to be the king or whatever. And Foxglove's just like, I don't want to be king. She can be king if she wants. I would really just like to be her trophy spouse and just be in her company all the time. It's like, ooh, prove that you are worthy. And so Foxglove is just sort of wandering around trying to defeat a basilisk or something that will like be enough, fight a dragon, even though they don't really like fighting, and they're actually pretty good friends with some dragons. So what they're actually planning to do is like draft a peace treaty between the dragons and the human kingdom. And also, their girlfriend has like all of these ideas for like, oh, but what if we moved on to like a constitutional monarchy with it, where like, with the hope of eventually like becoming a democracy, etc. We went on a bit of a tangent there. The Foxglove is questing to prove worthy to marry princess. Um, and I think on this day, maybe there's a bit of a festival in town, and Nettle is like, has been here for like 2 hours. Um, and has reached like interacting with people, like being in the crowd, like the threshold of how much they're willing to do that. Like, okay, it's time to pack up and go home. Goodbye. Uh, but then like passing the inn, here's like, but please, I don't have anywhere else to stay. Are you sure that like I can sleep on the floor? I'll sleep in a laundry closet. It's fine. I don't mind doing that. Please. It's like it's cold out. I don't want to be outside for the night. Please. Um, and just sort of like pokes their head in through the door to see Foxglove like pleading with the receptionist. The receptionist just like, I'm sorry, there are so many people in town. We really don't have any room. Um, and Nettles just like does the whole like scan thing of like, who are you? What's your deal? Notices all of the hallmarks of an adventure and just goes, all right, come on. And, like, just walks in, picks up Foxglove's like bag. It's like, come on. Just zero explanation. Just leads them out and like down the road, out of town to their house. And Foxglove the entire time is like, what is happening? Are you sure? Can I have my bag back? And Nettle's just like, just come on. Come on. not to be like not in a rude way, but it's definitely like I have talked enough for the day and I don't really have it in me to like I just don't have enough energy for like saying anything else is sort of Nettle's deal. And it's only like when they get back that like when they get to Nettle's place that Foxglove is kind of like, "Oh, okay. Okay, I get it now." So let's grab a card for the story that Foxglove is going to tell us. The Queen of Coins. I really like the flowers on this one. I don't know if you can see them very well. They're very pretty. And blue. I like blue flowers. Oh, the Queen of Coins or Pentacles, as it is in this book. So, fertility, luxury, um, wealth, and generosity. The traditional meanings of this card. So I think Foxglove tells Nettle about the princess. Like, it, Foxglove kind of strikes me as the sort of person who like needs to be talking. So like Nettle is just like, uh, uh, mm-hmm, uh, the entire time, and Foxglove is just like, "Do you want to know why I'm on this quest? Can I tell you about it?" I mean, you don't have to listen. Nettle's just like, like, oh, well, okay, if you insist. So I'm on this quest because blah 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 blah, and uh, and the princess, she's just so cool. We've known each other for like years now. Um, I actually didn't think she would be interested in me, but man, I guess uh, it it turns out she was, and like, wow. So we've been dating, and we she proposed. I mean, her parents think I proposed, but she's the one who proposed. And now they say I have to like prove myself to her, but she says that I've never had to prove myself to anyone. But like apparently her kingdom has this whole like tradition, like in the laws and shit, that like if the princesses like if you want to marry the princess, you have to do like some sort of noble quest. It's weird. Anyway, that's one of the laws that she wants to change once she becomes queen. Um, she's just really cool. She reads a lot, she knows a lot of shit. She uses a lot of words that I don't really understand. Um, and she's really good at math. And just like on and on about her, and it's just obvious that they Foxglove and the princess just really like each other and care about each other. Just very sweet. Except Nettle doesn't super like sweet and is just kind of like, uh-huh, hmm, all right, yep, mm-hmm. The entire time. Well, let's grab our last card for what Foxglove needs from us. It's the Seven of Blades. let's see, with the Seven of Blades or Swords, um, your efforts will be partly successful. Perhaps it's time for a new plan. Don't let fantasies interfere with the task at hand. Um, so I think what Foxglove needs from Nettle is advice. So Foxglove, like in the mid, like somewhere in all of this rambling, ends up like telling Nettle about like the plan they have to for completing this quest, and it's like it's not a great plan. Um, and it takes until like the next morning, um, like the next morning over breakfast before Foxglove is just sort of chattering about anything that comes to mind, and Nettle is just like full on interrupts them, like, so about your plan, it sucks. And here's what my adventuring party would have done if it was us back when I adventured. And also, here's somewhere you can go to get this thing that you need, and here's somewhere you can go to get that other thing you need. And you should probably check out this library in this town for some information. Um, but it's also like, I think the first time that someone has actually, it's like, it's very rude and gruff, but it's Foxglove is like so thankful, not just for the information, but because like no one so far has really expected them to succeed, and Nettle is just kind of, even though Nettle is like, your plan sucks, um, they're still like, you you can succeed, you just need a better plan, as opposed to, you're kind of dumb, you're a bit of a thembo, and you're not gonna you're not gonna succeed at all. Um, and Foxglove is kind of a thumbo, and does need the help, but is capable of doing whatever they put their mind to. But my God, first they gotta find their mind. You know the feeling. Um, so advice and like support almost. Um, someone who actually believes that they can do this, as opposed to like the princess back home is kind of like, you don't have to, it'll be fine. And the like king and queen, who are both sort of like, haha, we will send you on an impossible quest and get rid of you, hee hee. Um, and like all of the people they've met along their journey who have been like, good luck, I guess. Um, Nettle is just like, okay, here's how you should do it. You are capable of it. Um, you just need to actually do it right. So, and like at some point, Nettle is like, "You should be writing this down," and Foxglove like starts like pulls out a little notebook and starts scribbling. Um, and it takes until like, and then they just like they keep talking. Foxglove just keeps talking, and Nettle goes back to like, no, I've said everything I needed to say today. Nope, already. I, I've hit my word quota, and I'm done talking. Um, and just like eventually manages to sort of like kick Foxglove out, um, and like get them back on their way. So then the question that we have to answer is, how do you change their mind? Um, and I guess it goes back to the what do they need from me, which is that by showing, I believe they are capable, it's sort of like there's sort of a learned helplessness, like I where Foxglove like pretends to have this sort of confidence but hasn't like really put in too much work at like getting a better plan because they're like, I know I'm gonna fail and it'll be better if I fail like in a stupid dumb way doing stupid dumb shit than like if I actually try really, really hard and then fail. But Nettle just like kind of being very matter of fact about like, so it is possible for you to do this. You just need to, do it. Um, Sort of gets Foxglove to be like, you know what? Yeah, I can do it. I can risk it. And if I fail, I can try again. Um, but I'm not gonna fail. I'm gonna do great. I'm gonna be awesome. And that's Foxglove's visit. Coming up on just shy of about an hour and a half for this stream, and my throat is starting to hurt. So I think I'm gonna stop us here. Um, again, we've been so again. This is uh, the solo journaling game "A Stop Along the Road" by Courtney Girl, who can be found um, at these links down here. I think on her Twitter, there's also a card link for other places you can find her. She has some other games that also look neat. Some more solo journaling games. Which solo journaling games are neat and fun and a great way to like come up with ideas for stories, and you can use them for like inspiration. Um, so this is just a nice game, and it's definitely a great way to use if you're like me and you have some tarot decks sitting around that you never use, and you want to justify keeping them around for more than just like, oh, but they're nice to look at when I sometimes, like once a year, get them out of their box. Um, you can look at them and use them for something by playing this game and other games that use tarot cards. So this is, I believe it's $3 on itch right now. Um, and it's also in the Solo But Not Alone bundle, which I believe is still ongoing on itch. It's I enjoyed it. I really liked how open-ended it is. Um, and I like that it's sort of something that you can do like over time, once a day or once a week, um, or like whenever the mood strikes your fancy. Uh, Maybe even work it into like a routine of some sort. So like after I do this chore, I'm going to write down the fantasy version of doing this chore and talking to an adventurer. Um, I don't know. Or you can just play it as is because it's very nice as it is. Um, yeah. So thank you for joining me for another episode of indieRevue. Um, Next week, same time, same place, we should be doing yet another episode, hopefully with both Avery and me, and maybe more people. Or maybe we'll make it a 3 for 3 solo vehicle, solo Vico. We can't do that. I can't even talk. I'm uh, yeah, so indieRevue again next Saturday, 6 p.m. EST. Keep an eye on our Twitter for what we'll be playing. And I believe tomorrow night, I don't think I have heard anything about it being canceled. Tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. EST over on our buddy Racius's channel, Avery and I and some friends will be playing another episode of our uh, live play campaign of Critical Role's Call of the Netherdeep module. Slay a While the Slumbering Dark is what we're calling this campaign. It's a lot of fun and you should join us. We have a team pet now and we're very happy and we're still trying to figure out a name for him, so come and give suggestions in the chat. Tuesday is usually Racius's video game day. They did a stream earlier today that you can probably still catch on his channel of the Deep Rock Galactic board game, so I don't know if they'll be streaming again Tuesday, but if they are, check it out. And Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST is Avery and me video game stream, so come hang out with us there as well. Um, and thanks for joining. Uh, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay queer, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.